Alright, PSO2 fans and those of who like the Proton technology, we're going to see if PSO2 can run under Proton. Now, obviously we can't do it because of the anti-cheat, but let's see what the performance would be if the anti-cheat wasn't interfering with it running on Linux. So we're going to run it as is through Proton in the Linux side. And on the Windows side, we're just going to be benchmarking it here. Alright, so I'll just use a pre-made data array setup. Now, I can understand the developers before 2012 of going with DirectX. It was the standard back then. Now, what I have learned is that Vulkan came out around 2016, which means it has matured by the time that they were working on NGS. Now, I can understand why the developers stuck with DirectX. It would save them a lot of time and effort of upgrading the engine. But in return, they've locked themselves to Windows and also a bloated piece of API. As I've done research on it, it looks like Vulkan not only has better, let's just say, image quality and rendering speed. So two things, image rendering quality and rendering speed are better in Vulkan than DirectX. More because it's probably closer to the hardware than DirectX. Now, the first proof of this is in 2016, Doom came out. It used both the DirectX and the Vulkan API. And what people found was that the Vulkan API just ran a whole ton better. It literally ran a whole ton better. It was, I think, about another 5 frames per second on a... So if DirectX was 30, it would be running at 35 with Vulkan at max settings. So that's already impressive in that it would be doing that. Now, I did preset the character creators on both of them to 6, just so this way everything's fair. Now, already we can see that, yes, I'm not trying to cheat by having the game intro run and making it look like I'm faking it. No, this is proof that, yes, this is the character creator, and I'm going to be using the same character on both sides. Just took me a while to set it all up. Now, what we need... Now, I would like it if NGS was available on the Steam Deck. Now, there's only one catch, and that's the anti-cheat. And if we get good results or better results of Proton running NGS character creator, then I have to ask Sega, why are you not investigating this? It's a way to expand your market. Not to mention, there's a whole ton of other little things that could be done that would be beneficial. So, why are you ignoring Proton? Like, people on the forums have asked, going like, hey, are you going to be looking at, the Linux stuff? No reply. So, I'm going to be showing this off, going like, look, if this works very well, you're going to have evidence going like, hey, you got a possible upgrade here. Let's try and see if Linux is viable for PSO2. And if Linux is viable, then you can get the Steam Deck. And if you get the Steam Deck, well, you get even a nostalgia crowd for the, the PlayStation Portable, which I do have. Alright, so our score is 15,890. Alright. So now we're going to be switching over to Linux. And I'll see you when I get there. Alright, so we're in our Linux environment. Got the launcher launched. And yes, just to confirm that this is not a Windows system. This is a Linux system. It's not disguised. So, start it. And keep loading. Alright, so 3, application. And then 2, 1, load, test, boom. So you can see it's the same character. Yes. And now we're going to get the benchmarking for the Linux side. I'm hoping that we do get the same or near 1600. Now, if this holds true that it gets near the same results as the DirectX version, or should I say the Windows version, then I have to ask Sega, going like, why are you holding off on not asking your anti-cheat to get Proton support, or why aren't you thinking about switching the DRM to one that actually supports Proton? Because I could see a big potential market boost, because if the Steam Deck takes off, it's going to probably decimate the Microsoft market space. And it would be probably a better idea to support this. Now, unfortunately, there is a bit of a glitch with Proton that I can't run PSO2 full screen, but because the desktop is bigger than my Windows setup, because it seems to not like an odd screen resolution. So I'm running the same resolution of PSO2 character creators, just that the desktop space is different sizes. So already, well, alright, so yes, we might actually be getting better results than what we did in Windows so far looking at it. But we'll have to take the end result, see. But yeah, this is something that I'd like to see Sega address, going like, are you going to be looking at Linux support or not? Because if this is showing that, yes, it's very viable, then why hold out? Why hold out and not support it? Because this could be the future of gaming, where Microsoft is out and Linux is reigning supreme in terms of gaming. So I have to ask, why haven't I heard anything when it's been asked a few times on the forum? Alright. Yeah, so we might get near similar scores. Alright, so... Alright. Alright, so... Yeah, it's a bit slower, but there might be another reason why, and that's the drive setup. Alright, so... That's reasonably close. Because for the Windows side, now mind you, PSO2 is on a high-speed drive in Windows. So that's probably one reason for the slower performance. But, yeah, it's not that much different. It's, let's see, 15890. So, it's very close. Same settings, and it should be no issue. So, yeah, we could. It's very possible. So I have to, again, ask Sega, going like, do you want to give up a nice PSP-looking thing that gets people's attention and would have a nostalgia effect, and not support the Steam Deck? Because if you support the Steam Deck, you could get that PSP crowd to go in and play PlayStation or Phantasy Star Online 2 on the Steam Deck. You'd have almost unfettered access. One of the problems, though, is you have a competitor that's already ahead of you in the game. Yes, Sega, you actually have a competitor that's already pretty much unfortunately, almost ready for the Steam Deck. Like, they're next to verified. They're in the same boat you are with the launcher. And it's Monster Hunter Rise. They are actually almost Steam Deck verified. They only have the launcher that's stopping them. They've talked with Valve to actually help them make sure the game engine would run very well with Proton. And the one thing that they did do was they looked at the anti-cheat to make sure that it was Proton compatible. So you're going to have to ask yourself, are you going to lag behind a competitor? You're going to lag behind Capcom in terms of a action MMO game because you can't bother to change the anti-cheat or investigate it? So I have to ask, are you going to be sitting on the sideline while a competitor outtakes you because you don't decide on looking at new technologies? And I will say this, it needs to be probably done, is that you need to either pressure GameGuard to get Proton compliant or you just switch them out. That's the only way you're going to expand. And if you get the anti-cheat fixed, you get to Linux. And when you get to Linux, you get to the Steam Deck. And when you get to the Steam Deck, you're going to be opening up a whole world of other possibilities. Now, admittedly, in order to get fasterly done with it, you're going to need to definitely work probably with Valve in terms of getting things going, but without necessarily needing to contact Valve right now, all you need to do is look at the Steam developer channel that was set up. Yeah, Steam development. They have everything you need to start looking at going with the Steam Deck. Like, they put out a lot of resources already. Like, and I know that there are Steam Decks in Japan. I have read articles where there are Steam Decks in Japan for the developers, and I believe Capcom's one of them. So if you don't want to lag behind in terms of another company because you aren't looking at it, then you may end up losing customers who go like, hey, I have the Steam Deck on Phantasy Star is not available for it, but Monster Hunter Rises, and they have it in both their accounts. Well, which ones are they going to slowly migrate to more and more over time? Because it's easily more available. So I would definitely think that Sega needs to look at the Steam Deck and make a decision and make an announcement of whether they are or are not going to go with Proton and going then to the Steam Deck. It's something I would definitely like to hear from the developers about what are their thoughts on this. And I hope to hear from, hear this decision sometime probably in March or April on this, on the NGS headline. Because this is something that probably really needs to be addressed if Phantasy Star Online NGS is to take off and keep hold or even expand.